Hello. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Apologies for the few minutes late. Rick, I love that you are here and ready to roll. How's everybody doing? Drop me some hellos in the comments. Where's everybody calling from? I'm back in my office in Brooklyn, New York. So hello from here. I am subbing in for Edie today, who is out of the office this week. So what's up, Mike in Boulder? All right, so I know we started a few minutes late, so let's get right to it. I'm really excited about our call, about our session today. We are going to be chatting with one of my favorite colleagues that Edie and I met actually at Launch Music Conference last year, which if you all don't know about Launch, you should know about Launch. Anyways, we're going to be talking with Suzanne, she's going to tell me, but I think Suze, from the Rockstar Advocate. Okay. Has anybody ever worked in here with like a mindset coach? Edie does a lot of mindset coaching. So you guys have probably gotten a little taste of that. Either way, we're going to be chatting with Suze. I'm super excited to bring her up. She, is a mindset coach specializing with musicians, our favorite type of creative. And yeah, all about time management. Suze has a really badass planner called the Rockstar Advocate. She's gonna tell you all about this right now. So if you are ready, Suze, let me figure out how to invite you on screen. I got it. Oops, I'm gonna send you again. There we go. There we go. Okay, she's coming up on stage. There you are. Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm so excited for this.
Good. Likewise. Likewise. Are you in New York as well?
I'm in Queens.
Queens. I'm from Queens, everybody, and that's the best borough in New York. In case there's any confusion.
I mean, Brooklyn's cool too. I love Brooklyn.
No. Whatever. Greetings from Prague. Wow. Hello, international. I love it. Okay, guys. So grew up in Queens and Brooklyn. Okay, sorry. We can move on from there. Okay, so we are going to be talking about the hustle. We're going to redefine the hustle. This conversation is about keeping you guys focused, having some structure, but not driving yourself nuts. Okay. This is being burnt out. I just had a whole weekend of feeling pretty burnt out. So this is actually very relevant, very relevant for me. Yeah. Okay. So first of all, also Suze or Suzanne? Suze
is good. You got it.
All right. So let's just get right into it. Suze, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Tell us what you do at the Rockstar Advocate.
Yeah. So guys, thanks so much for having me. I started the Rockstar Advocate almost 8 years ago. And as Laura said, I am a mindset and productivity coach for musicians. Some people have started to call it like growth mindset. So, getting rid of that perfectionism, getting rid of that, paralysis that keeps us stuck in one place, fearing failure and all of that. We're all about embracing the mess, embracing the failures because they're just lessons learned. So all that type of stuff. I started in the music industry 20 years ago, started at the major labels, and that quickly led to burnout. So I left the industry, got my master's in psychology, and then realized, wait, I could do something with that in the music industry. As Laura pointed out, I do have a weekly planner that a very good friend of mine from college, shout out to Alyssa Jackson, we created the Rockstar Life Planner. It comes out every year. Right now, the 2022 planner is out. You can grab it on the website. But aside from that, I work one-on-one with musicians, and I also have a group program as well, where I work with them in a group capacity to hold them accountable on their goals. So that's pretty much all there is about me. I live in a tiny house in Queens. This is just a fake background. So makes it look like I live somewhere bigger than where I am. But yeah, I'm just really excited to be here.
Awesome. Yay. Yay. I love, and let me tell you, gosh, I wish I had my version of the planner. I know I have it.
I have it somewhere. Of course, yeah, of course it's not sitting here with me as it, you know.
No, right, of course. Anyways, so first of all, this is like more relevant, I feel like, now than ever, man. Mental health, I mean, thank God, is finally being a mainstream conversation. Yeah. And I know, at least from my time as a manager, it's always a challenge to kind of balance the, you know, wanting the artist to be productive, but being respectful of the fact that you guys are not machines, and you know, it's not just work, you're doing creative work, which, you know, really there's a different different approach to that. You got to tread lightly, right?
And there is that balance, because, you know, there's a discipline to this too. Listen, if you guys want to build a business out of this, you can't just say, oh, well, when it hits me, I'll just do it when it hits me. Like, that doesn't work. But you also, yes, as Laura said, you don't want to just push and push and push, and then you've got nothing to pull from because you're done. Like, you're totally burnt out and just, you know, not being able to put sentences together, let alone, you know, lyrics and arrangements.
Yes. Yes. So tell me, where did the name, the Rockstar Advocate, come from? Where did that?
So I love to talk about this, because when I first started, I was never talking about it, and people were like, how come you've never explained this name before? So there is a slash between rock and star. And the reason for that is, you know, the rock star life. Everyone's like, you're such a rock star. You're a rock star. And, you know, it kind of goes with, it conjures up this like sex, drugs, and rock and roll lifestyle. It's like, hey, in moderation, all those things are wonderful, but it's, you know, it's not sustainable. And, you know, we are here growing our own businesses. So to me, my mission with the Rockstar Advocate is to advocate for you and empower you to be the rock for your future star. So it's a dual relationship that has to work together. Yeah. Yeah.
That's great. Ooh, that's powerful. Yeah. Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about the planner.
Yeah. So the planner, like I said, it was created back in 2016 with my very good friend, Alyssa. We went to Drexel together. I was in the music industry program, and she was, and that's my dog dropping his bone, and she was an engineer. But we're both big creatives, and we just weren't finding planners that like had what we needed. And my clients at the time, I had just started the Rockstar Advocate about 1.5 years prior, and they were always asking for templates. They were like, can you make me a template to keep track of my habits? Can you make me a template to like celebrate my wins? Can you make me a template for my contacts so I remember who I have to follow up with? And so I had all these templates, and then I said to Alyssa, like, can we do something with this? Like, it was just for my clients. That's the only, I just wanted to make a book of my templates for my clients. And then we just kept toying with it. And finally we're like, why don't we just turn this into a planner? And so it's been, you know, these last 6 years, it's been really awesome watching it grow. And I just love the response it's been getting. So
what I really love about that the planner also is, I think that sometimes for artists, because this is art, they're being creative, there's sometimes maybe a little disconnect between being like, well, even though this is your art, you can still be organized about it. You can still, you know, have some structure around it, and, you know, kind of having a planner. I mean, how many of you guys in here who uses a planner, or, you know, a notebook or something to kind of
Ready?
Anybody? Well, maybe not yet.
Yeah. It's okay. Most of the people who have purchased the planner have never used one. And that's why, you know, we set it up to feel differently than a planner. It's part journal. It's very reflective. And it's meant to just be this guide to get you into, you know, into a routine. And we have a lot of digital, I call them rock sources, that come with the planner to help you stay accountable, to help you time out. You know, we have in the planner, this should take you about 30 minutes. This should take you an hour, you know, and to guide you through that so that, you know, you can maintain it.
Yeah. And by the way, for anybody that's curious, we, as always, we've got a beautiful little promotion that we're happy to offer, and it comes with a version of the Rockstar Life Planner. So if anybody's curious, you can get your hands on that, and we will be sharing that link with everybody at the end of the call. So, okay, let's talk time management.
Yeah.
My personal, one of my favorite subjects. I think we actually talked about this in the last industry session, that time management is something that I have learned to do very well, because I do not perform under pressure. Pressure, if I have, you know, if I'm being rushed, at least in high school, historically, I would just break down in tears. Like, I can't do it. So that is how I ended up getting some time management skills. But I know it's not something that necessarily comes naturally to a lot of people. So let's talk. Do you have any top time management tips for, you know, I know there's a lot of artists getting ready maybe for a release or so, or working on a project. Any tips you can share with them?
Yeah. Biggest one, guys, brace yourself, get a pen and paper, write this down. Slow down. Slow down. It is not instinctual. It is in fact counterintuitive to, you know, what we do when we're under the gun and you're getting ready to release a new project. You want to push and you want to like do all the things. You've got to hit that pause button. You've got to stop. The more time you stop and say, okay, wait a minute, what am I doing right now? Am I being intentional? Am I doing the stuff that has to get done, or am I doing what I think should be done? And should is a 4-letter word, guys. It's not something we want in our vocabulary. Okay. we gotta get rid of the should. So listen, you might get a wonderful release day checklist. You know, I've seen so many great ones, right? You might get a 3-month checklist to go off from. And then you might look at some of that and maybe it's out of your resource range right now. Maybe it's out of your time frame right now. Maybe you just don't know how to do something that's on that list, but you're ready to release your album. Just do the best you can. Like, you can skip things on a checklist. You can give yourself permission to, you know, do a modified version of something, because you're going to learn from it. So, you know, we get so hooked on, well, the expert told me to do this. No one's more of an expert at your career than you. Ooh. So, yeah, right? Like, it's okay. It is okay to just be like, not for me, or not for right now. Like, doesn't work, on to the next thing. Like, ask yourself, how can I move the needle right now? So you're only going to figure that out by slowing down. The next tip I would give for time management is to block and batch. So, excuse me.
I like that.
Block and batch is my favorite thing to do. I have a free tutorial on this on my YouTube page. It's a time blocking tutorial. And it's all about understanding the categories of your life. I love a good mind map for this, or maybe you want to just jot down, what are the 5 to 6 areas of your life? Some, like, first of all, I will tell you, one of them is self-care. That is number one. You have your friends and family. You have, you know, and your categories really are like your commitments. What are you committed to in life? Obviously, you have your music career. Maybe you want to break that down into admin and content creation or creative work. You know, whatever makes sense for you, there's no wrong way to create these categories. But you want these categories. Oh, thank you for posting the link. But we want these
comments, guys. There's the video she's talking about.
But we want to figure out these categories, and I walk you through in the tutorial how to create those for yourself. But it's all about what are going to be the blocks. Think about high school. You had 40 minutes of English class, then you had math, then you had art, then you had lunch, then you had history class. Like, you did not 8 to 9 blocks of different subjects in one day, and then you went home. Like, your work day does not have to be 16 hours. It's just, if you give yourself 8 hours in a day with a break in there, what categories are you going to focus on? Maybe it's a 4-hour block of content creation and songwriting. Maybe it's a 1 hour block of emails and admin work and like getting back to DMs and stuff like that. You will figure that out. But yeah, times they were going to time block like a boss. Yes.
Right.
So, and that's the thing. And then within those blocks, you're going to batch. So if you're doing admin work and you're like, oh, I have to do like my social media content. Okay, well, don't create a post, which is like get the photo and write the caption and create the hashtags and schedule. Like those are all different types of tasks. Batch the photos, batch the captions, batch the scheduling. Like do them all similar work together, because your brain, you're using different parts of your brain. And the more you are like photo caption, oh no, photo caption, you're contextually shifting and it wastes energy and time. So,
and not to mention whatever program or whatnot you're using. I mean, you're in Canva making your post, and then you're in, you know, Google Drive doing this. Exactly. Like, it's not efficient. I agree.
And then the last tip would be prioritize your priorities. And this is something I did not learn for myself until like 2 to 3 years ago, because priorities are great, right? Like we have our priorities, but self-care is the top priority. So it's not like, oh, all these things are important, but no, there's an order to them. So put on your calendar when you're going to take a rest, or when you're going to go for a walk, or when you're going to exercise or read a book. That goes on the calendar first. Time with your friends and your family goes on the calendar. Day job work, travel time, all of those things I explain in the tutorial, but like those go on first. Then again, counterintuitive, then your music career stuff goes on, because Parkinson's law, my good friend Parkinson, he tells us work expands to fill the time you give it. So if you give yourself less time, you will actually be more intentional with it. So it's okay if you only have an hour to work on your music career. You're going to be more intentional in that hour if you than if you were like, oh, I can't take a nap, or I can't walk around the block and clear my head, or I can't spend time with my significant other because I have to do all this work. No, you're going to fill it with crap that doesn't matter. So prioritize your priorities.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That is also shout out to the 4-day work week.
Oh, yes. yes.
That's, yeah. Wow. Guys, that, I mean, everybody should go watch that video. I dropped it in there, and I'll include it, in an email to everybody afterwards. But if you guys can really grasp that, that is so huge. And also I love, those are maybe things that I can say, oh yeah, that's what I do. But, oh, I love your names. Block and batch. That's a great one. Yeah. Tell me what are some of the challenges, and also artists in here, please drop some comments in the chat. But what are some of the challenges that you see artists struggling with in terms of managing their time?
Yeah, the biggest one is just not valuing their self-care. I think we've grown up in an industry, and 20 years of it, I can say absolutely, I've grown up in this industry of, you know, sleep when you're dead. Art is painful. You know, don't make it about the money. Just, you know, busk and, you know, do what it takes. And so this scarcity mindset of like scarcity of time and scarcity of money and all of this stuff, it almost has turned artists off to wanting to make money, because I think there's like this inner turmoil about that. So then you stay broke. And this rejection of taking care of yourself, because where would the art come from if you weren't miserable?
And I think it's actually the complete opposite. Like, this is creative work, you know, like, yes, of course, some, you know, being miserable, of course, has produced some nice songs, but mostly speaking, I mean, if you're not kind of at peace in your head, it's so you're in survival mode, you know what I mean? And survival mode doesn't necessarily produce great art.
Right. And I think people mistake misery or like angst. They mistake stress for that. Like, you can be angsty and angry and pissed off and not necessarily be stressed. So what I mean is, like, yeah, I can be well rested. I can feel like I'm in control of my day, but I can still be pissed off. Or I can be present enough to sit with it and be like, okay, I feel fine now, but I want to write an angry song. Let me tap into like a time that I was angry. Like you are going to be better equipped to go into your arsenal, you know, your bag of tools and get that. You don't have to be experiencing the pain right now, and you don't have to be burnt out to feel pain.
Yes. Yes. Did everybody hear that? I hope everybody caught that. Super.
For the people in the back.
Right. Definitely. So, okay, here's a question. The last 2+ years have been insane for musicians, right? Yeah. Lots of curveballs. There's so much that is unpredictable. You know, I think most musicians I know have had their worlds flipped upside down. So any advice for, and I think maybe some artists are coming out of that, but some aren't yet. And which is no shame in that whatsoever. So any advice or any, words of wisdom for the artists that have just been, feeling completely helpless or powerless over the last couple of years that everything has changed?
Yeah, definitely. The first is just embrace where you're at, because where you're at, if it's not where other people are at, that's okay. Try not to judge it, because I think that digs your hole deeper. Because I've also noticed some artists who thrived during the pandemic, and now that things are opening back up, they're like, oh, well, wait a minute. What I was doing now isn't working the way it worked when everyone was under lockdown. So, all right, hold on. Now I got to pivot again. And so, some people are like, woohoo, I get to tour again. And some people are like, never wanted to tour, and my Insta lives aren't getting the reaction they used to get. So, everyone's in a different space, and wherever you're at, that's where you are. Like, that's okay. I'm in the midst of getting my license in social work. And so I've been interning at a high school. I just finished, and, the students, it runs the gamut of like students that thrived, homeschooling and remote and are afraid to come into the building. And there are ones that are like, if you take this socializing away from me, I'm going to scream. So, so everyone has just, it's such a spectrum. The first is to just accept where you are. And second, when I feel completely overwhelmed or knocked over by what's happening around me, I look for the little things I can control. Because when we feel like we are in control, we can like push ourselves up a little bit. So I kind of like visually, for those of you that think more visually, like I look at it as like a rope that I can like pull myself up. And so I have to be able to control my grasp on that rope. And I don't want it to feel like I'm swinging from side to side. So I think I can control the clothes I wear today. I can control what I put in my body and what I eat. I can control, what I'm determining to focus on right now. Do I watch a video? Do I meditate? Do I call somebody? Just check in with what your body needs and then determine what in your environment can you control. We can't control the weather. We can't control if somebody's available to talk to or not, but we can control, what we, like I said, put on or in our bodies or what we, how we express ourselves. So just trying to find the little areas of control is just a starting point. And each step will lead you to the next step. It's okay to not see the big path in front of you. Just keep taking steps. And all of a sudden that path will start to take shape. But just trust the little steps are fine.
And this is also so relevant, not just for music. This is relevant for life.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oof. I like that. Wow, you got some gems here.
Right, I love talking to you. We always get a good vibe going.
All right, let's talk about burnout.
Yeah.
I think every artist, not even just artists, this is also just life things, but everybody gets burnt out.
Yeah.
Everybody gets burnt out, and I see artists especially just beat themselves up over it, feeling like they've got to just keep going. And there is so much pressure, man. I empathize so much with artists today. You are expected to do so much.
Yeah.
And to your point, some people really thrive with that kind of pressure, and some people really, really don't. So what about, how do you deal with burnout?
Yeah. Yeah, I think the biggest thing is to remind yourself, you know, some people call it giving yourself grace. Some call it, you know, giving yourself permission to just say, like, I can stop. And it doesn't mean give up. It doesn't mean let it all go. It doesn't mean pack up and go home and your career's over. It just means stop. Like, just
it's okay to take a break.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, and Diamond, I see your question there, and this will be part of my answer. So hold tight. I will definitely get to the warning signs. But, you know, I myself experienced really, really bad burnout at my very beginning start of my career. And because I didn't listen to anything that people were telling me to do, which was to slow down. And I ignored all of the warning signs, which I'll get to, but really what happened was I couldn't stop going because I was terrified that that would just end me. That if I stopped, I would lose my edge, because I graduated 6 months early and had my own office at a major label at 21. And I was 10 years younger than all my coworkers. And I was like, how can I get to the top of the label in record time if I stop now? And
Wow.
It's like I just had, you know, to me, I just thought it was all going to fly by, and I had the whole journey in front of me. Like, it's fine. But I just looked at stopping, and I got a therapist. My boss at the time, even though he was part of the reason I was burnt out, he was like, you need to speak to somebody. And the therapist and my mom actually like joined forces to almost like have an intervention and be like, you have to quit. Like, you have to quit. And they wrote my resignation letter for me. And I was like, are you high? Like, like, I can't quit. Like, do you understand the position I'm in right now? Like, I can't, I'm going to fall behind, which is what my boss kept telling me. Like, you're going to fall behind. Somebody's going to take your job. Nobody's going to want to work with you. You gave up. You're a quitter. And it was like, no, I had all the power. Like, why would I let a job like completely ruin my health and well-being? It's a job. But we all in this industry see so much of what we do as a lifestyle and not a job. And that's okay. But to maintain that lifestyle, we have to maintain our life, right? Like, we have to maintain us. So when I finally stopped and I got a full night's rest for the first time in 3 years, I woke up and just bawled. Like, I was just like, the wave of emotion was just like uncontrollable. But like, okay, let it all out. Like, and then brush yourself off and don't do anything. Like, step away from the career for a minute. It will still be there. You can still do stuff with it, but you got to go get re-inspired. You got to go find yourself. Like, hang out with people that bring you joy, color, go outside, go for a walk, eat good food. Like, just again, it's so counterintuitive. But when I was nasty to everybody, so here are the warning signs, Diamond. So nasty to everybody in your life. And like, I'm nice, I'm a good person, but like, just nasty to everybody. All the emotions were right here. And I know for most creatives, right, our emotions are always there, but I mean, like, any second I could cry, laugh, or scream. Like, at any
I've been there.
Like, at any moment. And another big burnout sign, you know, so being overly emotional and not knowing why, being very short with people, bags under your eyes, loss of weight, gaining weight, like more than is normal for you. And also just not, like, being confused constantly, like forgetting what you were doing. If you end the day and you're like, what did I do today? And I don't mean like immediately it doesn't come to you, because we're all still in COVID fog, but I mean, like, take a minute. If you really can't identify what you've done today that was like worth doing, you've burnt out. You're now just doing crap just to do it. And you're not even like, it's not even registering. So that's a very good indication you're burnt out.
Wow, that is very, very real. Yeah, it's just, you're right. It is so counterintuitive. You're in that, you know, mindset of, I just got to keep going. But
right.
Good thing you had good. Always listen to your mom. Okay. Moral of the story.
Yeah. Get to a therapist and listen to your mom.
Yes. Diamond, if you feel you're getting to that point, well, I think you just learned what to do. Yep. Let's see what else. Oh, I was actually just about to say that. So that is, it gets, you know, people get really blinded, I think, by the hustle. Got to be hustling. Go, 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 go. Hustle, hustle, hustle. The title of this conversation is Redefine Your Hustle. So what do you mean by that?
Yeah. So redefine the hustle. To me, you know, I started using that as a hashtag, like when I first started this company almost 8 years ago. And because I love the word hustle, like I do. You know, rock star, I was like, I gotta like change that up for me to like it. But hustle always like was a cool word. I just hated how I heard it being used all the time. It was just like, my boss used to say, Mel, you gotta hustle, like stop it. You better be hustling. Like you can't take a break. What do you mean have lunch? There's no. Like you got quotas to meet. Like stop, you know, you gotta hustle if you want it. And I was like, but I don't see successful people doing that. Like I see them getting facials and getting massages, and I see people with no bags under their eyes, and like that doesn't resonate with me. And so then I was like, well, I mean, nobody's stopping us from redefining stuff. I redefined what rockstar meant to me. So, you know, I started just saying like redefine the hustle. Like hustle's a cool word, but like I don't like the way we're using it. And so, you know, everybody's hustle is different. The reason I started really pushing it more so in these last couple years, you know, not to have too deep of a moment and take this elsewhere, but you know, during the pandemic when we were starting to have real talks about systemic racism, productivity, the way we know it to be, is based in white supremacy. Like it just is. And I've not only have I taken workshops on this, but it's a big part of my social work program at Adelphi, where I've taken many classes by some very renowned professors. And you see how productivity, quotas, time management as like the 5 a.m. club and like all this stuff, it was all born out of slavery and the slave trade in our economy. And
wow.
Again, I'm not trying to like make this conversation into like a deeper thing, but
if you want to unpack that for a second, I think that's relevant.
So basically quotas, and I'm just talking US history here, like quotas were created to make slaves more competitive and give plantation owners a reason to punish if they didn't meet certain quotas. And capitalism was born out of the slave trade once slaves were set free. You know,
capitalism.
Yeah, like the factories then became the new slave trade. It was set quotas, do everything by certain margins, set specific times for things. I have to plug in my computer here. And it wasn't, not everybody works that way. So you then created this like workhorse mentality when some people, they can perform better for you if you give them a little bit more time to do something or attack something differently. I used to say to my boss, well, if I could start at 10, I'd be much better for you because I don't function at 8. And they'd be like, what are you talking about? Like we start the day at 8. So, you know, it's all based in this, like, this is the way and there's only one way. And if you don't measure up, you're other. And that was a way to keep minorities, immigrants, and other people from different cultures othered, because there were you look at European culture, they take breaks in the middle of the workday.
And lots of them, and throughout the year.
And so, you know, if you come over here, it's, well, no, you're other. You don't approach it this way. You don't move up. So, you know, there's a big history of all of this. And when I started the Rockstar Advocate, and I wasn't aware of any of this, I just knew from my own experience, productivity has to be personal. Like, it just has to be. There's no way you can tell me that I approach things wrong because I do it differently than somebody else. I'm still going to get good results. So I finally let go of wanting to join the 5 a.m. club. I'm part of the 9 a.m. club. And I do a
part of the 10 a.m. club.
Right. Like, and if you love waking up at 5 a.m., if that's then awesome. Like, I'm not saying the 5 a.m. club is bad. It only means that the people who run these big Wall Street companies, the market opens at 7. So they have from 5 to 7 for their time. That's the only thing that the 5 a.m. club is trying to push. Just have time for yourself. So if you want to wake up at 9 and start work at 11, good. Then have from 9 to 11 is your time to get focused, to do your Pilates or do your meditation or whatever it is. So productivity has to work for you. And yes, you might have a day job where you're like, Suze, yeah, great. I still have to be at my job at 7. Okay. But there are ways. I work with my clients all the time to find a schedule within that limitation that works for them. And, there are ways to go about it. And so when it comes to hustle, that to me is like what making your own productivity kind of view is. Like, define productivity for you. If you're somebody that just has to procrastinate, stop beating yourself up because you procrastinate. Like, I'm in school right now. I'm going to write my paper an hour before it's due. Like, that's just how I am. Does that mean I'm a crappy time management coach? No, I've just accepted how my brain works.
Yes. And amen to that. Listen, me and my sister was write the paper an hour before it's due. Yeah. I am not. But you're right. To each his own. I mean, just no, amen. No, you're not a crazy time management coach.
Thank you. And to Diamond's point, they said, are we slaves to the system if we set quotas? I mean, yeah, no. I mean, listen, you can still set, I'm a goal-setting fiend. You can still set goals and quotas and milestones. It's a matter of how you value them. Like, if you're starting to value hitting those quotas above your health and well-being, yeah, then you're kind of a slave to the system. Like, you have to be like, do you still want to hit those quotas a year from now? You might want to put your self-care first. And it doesn't mean you just take naps every day and bubble baths at night. And like, it just means like taking 10 minutes to sit in silence, or doing a tapping exercise, or journaling for 5 minutes before you open up your email inbox. Like, it can be little things. It doesn't mean like, I just do nothing and like the work will just come to me. And
like, not quite, right? Not quite. So what you're, talking about quotas, this is all kind of comes from, treating your music like a business, right? Businesses have quotas. Right. So what, any advice you could offer to the artists of, how do you start managing your business, your music like a business,
right?
But without going into crazyville.
Right. Yeah. So, you definitely want to be organized, and I saw somebody, I think it was Michael, mentioned like spreadsheets and stuff. So yes, I'm a big fan of the spreadsheets, but some people are better with Post-it notes. Some people are better with Trello, while others like just a journal to like have their notes everywhere. As long as it makes sense to you, fine, but come up with a system that works for you. And if quotas motivate you and help you keep track of stuff, cool. But where is the balance so that, you are making sure that you're at your best to reach those quotas? And so, figuring out whether you, sit there and get a big pad and kind of map it out, or whether you just take action and kind of learn in the weeds, like, okay, this is working, this is not working. Either way, just have some sort of weekly moment to yourself where you are reviewing what's been done. So you don't have to plan everything before you get started. But I think the most helpful thing for my business to make sure that I'm making progress is to have that weekly check-in. And like, we've built this in with the planner. I also build it in with my team. When we review things, it's like sometimes by the end of the week, things have gotten away from me, or plans have changed, or, and that's fine. You didn't fail at making your plan because the plan changed. But now you got to like reassess. Okay, was that change good? Do I want to keep that change? Do I have to pivot, or do I have to regroup and get back to what I was doing? And that's going to get you further than just like push, push, push and keep going. And like, I'll just wait till like the goal hits me. It's just like, it's going to pass you right by.
Totally. This is obviously relevant to artists, but for most of you who probably have a day job or another career, this applies. I mean, this is relevant to all aspects of your life. It really is.
Yeah.
Wow. So let me ask you a question. What kind of tools and how do you manage your time? What do you use? What is a day in the life?
Airtable. Oh my God, I am obsessed with Airtable. I used to do spreadsheets, but I didn't know all the formulas and all that stuff. Airtable takes the formulas out of it for you. If you want a column to do percentages, you just pick a percentage column. If you want a column that does like summations and does some sort of math for you, you pick the one that does the math formula for you. If you like, it's basically spreadsheets on steroids. You want to have like a column with images. You can just drag and drop an image in there, and that little cell will hold your photos for you. So, it's really great. I have an Airtable for my podcast episodes. I have an Airtable for my content on Instagram. I have an Airtable for my to-do list. And so it's really great. You don't have to pay for it. You can if you want a bunch of bells and whistles, but I am for platforms that you don't have to pay for. And then I love HoneyBook because I do pay for that. And that is my client management system. Musicians, you don't really need that unless you do offer services. If you, excuse me, if you have like a Patreon, an Airtable can manage all of that for you. You can keep track of your patrons and who's getting what and who you need to follow up with and stuff like that. And really just, for me, I just have different routines. Like I mark down, okay, it's time to clean out my inbox. I try not to get above 10 emails in my inbox, because I get overwhelmed. So,
people with the 579 unread, that stresses me out.
I can't do it. So it's like, I like to set aside, we talked about time blocking. I have a nice big chunk of time in my week, for business admin stuff. So, I block that off so I can manage my inbox, so I can clean up my client system, so I can look at my Airtables and say like, are they all where they need to be? So I can meet with my team member and say like, okay, she manages my group community. She helps me, she's more than an assistant, Jen. She's wonderful. She does a whole lot for me. Yeah. So like, I'm like, okay, where are we? Let's meet up. We have a weekly meeting. We have quarterly meetings where we get together in person for the full day. So like, those are all on the calendar. Those are already taken off so that nobody can book time with me on those days. And then I have days off, as you were saying, like the 4-day work week. Unless I'm really launching something, I try to give myself 3 days off. Usually that third day is for schoolwork right now, but like, I need the time, right? I need that time for other commitments in my life. So, my business runs on a lot of pausing, a lot of organizing. And sometimes some people might look at me and be like, oh my God, the amount of time you spend organizing and doing all that, like, do you even like meet with clients? Yeah, because I only need like 7 or 8 clients tops to run my business. Right. So I don't need all of that time to fill up. I don't have to run this rat race of like 20 hours a week should be client work. Why? I'm not going to be able, that doesn't enable me to work with them and do a good job for them. So, you got to figure out what the balance is for you.
And this is also kind of, being busy versus being productive.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So absolutely. Wow. God, this is so helpful. Is everybody like, I hope this is all really sinking into everybody's brains, because this is gold. Maybe I want to leave some time for questions. Yeah. So guys, if anybody has any questions here, you can either drop them in the chat or in the little question, ask a question. But tell us, I want to ask you about 2 things. One is the Rockstar Slackers group. And then I also tell everybody about your podcast.
Yeah. Okay. So I got to mention the podcast first, because I'm like so excited. You guys are the only ones who know this. It's dropping Friday. 4 episodes, including an interview with your wonderful Laura and Edie. Yay! So I'm so excited. It came out so good. I had a podcast, The Musicpreneur Mindset. We are still continuing. We are now at episode 115. It's just under a new name, Redefine the Hustle. And it's going to be on YouTube this time rather than just audio. So it's going to be on YouTube. It's also going to still be on Spotify. So if you're subscribed to the Musicpreneur Mindset podcast already, you don't have to it's going to be the same place, same RSS feed. So it'll all be good. But now on Spotify, you'll also be able to see the video, which is really cool. Yeah.
And we'll share the link with everybody as well. But yeah, so the new, it's called let me write that for you.
Yeah, Redefine the Hustle.
You doing it? All right, she got it.
Yeah, and right now you can find the older episodes here on my website. Feel free to binge as much as you want. And Friday we'll be dropping 4 new videos on YouTube, and they'll be accessible on the website as well.
Awesome. I'm like a podcast fiend.
I'm so excited. It was supposed to drop in November, but guess what, guys? Like, it's life. Life happens, and I think I interviewed you and Edie like in December or January.
Yeah, it was in January. It was a while back.
Yeah, but you gotta make sure that, again, prioritizing your priorities. It had to have the right space to come out and be good. So I'm very excited to drop it, and the Rockstar Slackers. So I'm very excited that we could join forces here on this platform to talk about it. The Rockstar Slackers takes place on Slack. If any of you guys have ever used it, it's a free app. I'm not a big Facebook group fan where it used to help. So
way better.
Yeah, if it keeps me off Facebook, I'm down. And so it's a free app, and my team and I, Jen runs the community. But it's 3 times a week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we check in on you to hold you accountable on what you're working on. Every week you'll get a survey to ask yourself, what am I working on? What are my goals? Every Friday we do a planning session that is recorded if you need it, so that you can go through your planner. Whether you use hours or you use a different one, but like an hour to plan your week. And we guide you through each step of now we're going to do this for 10 minutes. Okay, now we're going to move on to this. So you have guidance when it comes to planning out your week. We also do monthly happy hours where we all just get together and hang out, and you can interact with the other people in the community. And we do monthly coaching calls and weekly office hours. So I'm in there once a week and once a month to answer questions and pop in and make sure you're doing what needs to be done. And if not, let's get you back on track. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, everything. And Diamond, it's called Rockstar Slackers. That's part of the promotion that we have for you guys. We basically have a bundle. It's 50% off. For those of you who are already IndieFlow members, you get 1 month free with the Rockstar Slackers group. And for anybody here who's not yet an IndieFlow member, you get a year of IndieFlow, 3 months of Rockstar Slackers. The whole package is 50% off. Diamond, where you're going to see all the bundles and stuff, I'm going to send an email to everybody with all of that information. But if you guys listen, you've all been sitting here for the last hour. Suz is an expert. She knows her shit. And you'd have access to this beautiful mind, throughout the week, throughout the month.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There we go. Yep. So yes, I'm going to send everybody that information. We have one more. There's one question from Raul, which actually I'm very interested in as well. So he wants to know if there's any educational resources that you'd recommend to talk about, just to read a little bit more about the modern productivity being derived from slavery. So maybe if you can share that link with me, and I can share it with everybody as well, because unless you have something a quick link you can share right now?
Yeah, I don't have a quick link at my fingertips, but I will certainly get it to Laura. Some articles and some books that are really worth checking out. There's also, I also do have some great videos. I like not TED Talks, but similar seminar videos that are very eye-opening and interesting from my professors. I'll just get a few of those things together and send them to Laura, and then Laura, you can disseminate it to everybody.
Sure. Oh yeah, and I'm super interested in that as well.
Yeah.
Well, awesome, Suz. This has been so great. I hope everyone feels inspired. Go get yourselves organized, and be kind to yourselves. Right?
Yes, please.
Be kind to yourselves. All right. Well, if nobody has another question, then maybe we will wrap this up. I'm going to make this recording available for everybody. Again, I'll send everybody the bundle. Oh, and last, if anybody wants to find you, Suz, where do they find you?
You can find me everywhere at Rockstar Advo. I'm really pretty much only on Instagram, but Rockstar Advo is the username for YouTube. So you'll find my YouTube channel. You'll find me on Facebook with Rockstar Advo, all the things Rockstar Advo.
Yeah, I'm Suz.
Yeah.
Founder of
There's your YouTube link that I'm about to drop in here. Wait, we do have one. That's a big question. Monty wants to know.
Big music corporate. I mean, to keep it short, I think they're realizing they're no longer the gatekeepers, and they're really scrounging to get the most money they can. And right now they see that on email lists. So they will likely sign big artists, artists with big email lists. They'll be like, all right, if you don't work out, we now have your emails. And that seems to be something a lot of them like to do. That's their risk versus reward that I think a lot of them see, is to get the communities from these artists. And, if the artist's music doesn't promote well, whether because they didn't promote it correctly or it just didn't resonate, that's not their problem.
Wow. Yeah, community is everything. But also, I mean, the independent musician is, you guys have more power now than ever, and it's just the beginning. So yeah, I think, the industry, I think we're going to see some pretty big changes.
I'll tell you, I know a lot of signed artists. Some are no longer signed, some are still signed, but I will tell you, it did not make them happy the way they thought it would. And the ones that are still signed are just, hey, we're stuck with our contract, and here it is. It is not the fairy tale you think it's going to be. No matter how hard it is to run an independent career, keep believing in yourself. You have the power, and keep the power, guys.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. All right. That's a good note to end on. All right, Suz, thank you so much for your time, and always lovely chatting. And we'll speak on the internet.
Okay.
All right. Bye, everybody.